History is far more complex than we would like to believe. Even in our schools today, different versions of events are taught to us, depending on the country we're in and how those events in history impacted that country. But we also have archaeology. It helps us to better figure out what happened, regardless of who or what was written in the past. And today, we'll prove it. Because today, we'll be looking at the 15 ancient finds that reveal a past we don't fully understand. Number 15. The ancient prehistoric amputation. Losing a limb is never a simple or soothing experience, even with modern medicine. The risk alone makes it one of the most delicate procedures a human body can endure. So the idea that someone survived an amputation 31,000 years ago feels almost impossible. And yet, that's what archaeologists found in a remote cave in Borneo in 2022. The skeleton belonged to a young individual whose lower left leg was missing. At first, it could have been explained away as an injury or damage over time. But a closer examination told a different story. The bone showed clean cuts, and more importantly, signs of healing. That changes all. There were no fractures or signs of infection, nothing that suggested a violent accident. Instead, it points to a controlled surgery, carried out with precision. The person didn't just survive it, they lived for years afterward. Long before recorded medicine, someone understood how to do this. But we don't know who. Number 14. Cooper's Ferry Early Tools. For a long time, the story of when humans first arrived in North America felt settled. The Clovis culture, with its unique stone tools, was seen as the starting point. But discoveries have a way of shifting that certainty. In 2019, excavations at Cooper's Ferry in Idaho began to challenge that timeline. Archaeologists uncovered a series of tools used for cutting and shaping, clearly linked to human activity. When they were tested, the results pushed their age back to around 15 to 16,000 years. That's roughly 2,000 years earlier than the Clovis tools. The difference might not sound huge, but it changes the sequence. It suggests people were already here long before we thought they were. Even more interesting is the style of the tools, which resembles those found in parts of Asia, particularly Japan. That raises a possibility. Early settlers may not have arrived only by land. Some could have come by sea, following a route that hasn't been fully understood yet. Number 13. Yellow River Great Flood Evidence. For generations, geologists suspected that a massive flood once tore through the Yellow River region of China. It wasn't just a theory built on myths or legend, there were hints buried in the landscape itself. But it wasn't until 2016 that solid evidence finally confirmed it. What they found pointed to a catastrophic event around 5,000 years ago. A flood powerful enough to reshape the environment and alter the course of human settlement in the region. Some historians believe this disaster may have directly influenced the rise of early Chinese civilization, possibly even setting the stage for the Xia dynasty. But there's a complication. The timing doesn't quite match what was previously believed. The evidence places the flood around 1920 BC, centuries later than expected. That shift raises uncomfortable questions. If the flood happened later, then the timeline of early rulers like Yu the Great might also be off. The event itself is no longer in doubt. But everything built around it now feels less certain. Now, if it happened once, will it again? Number 12. Lost City of the Kalahari. Some stories sit right on the line between myth and reality. And the idea of a lost city buried somewhere in the Kalahari Desert is one of them. It dates back to 1885, when a man known as the Great Farini claimed he had seen ruins while traveling through the region. He described stone structures, broken walls, and signs of a once-inhabited place. His account sparked interest almost immediately. Over the years, multiple expeditions were sent out to find what he had reported. None of them came back with proof. Eventually, a different explanation was offered. In 1964, a researcher suggested that what Farini saw wasn't a city at all, but natural rock formations shaped over millions of years. The patterns, he argued, could easily be mistaken for ruins. That might explain it. Or it might not. The lack of evidence hasn't stopped people from searching. Some still believe there's something out there that hasn't been found yet. Number 11. Nero's Domus Aurea Sphinx Room. The palace of Emperor Nero in Rome has been known for centuries. It's massive, impossible to miss, and already filled with history. But even in a place that is well explored, something new still managed to hide in plain sight. In 2019, during restoration work, a previously unknown chamber was discovered beneath the structure. Now called the Sphinx Room, it's covered in detailed paintings that feel almost untouched. The walls show a mix of animals, mythical beasts, some of the most mysterious ones, and human figures. Centaurs appear alongside the god Pan, while musicians seem to bring the scenes to life. In one section, a warrior is shown facing off against a panther. The name comes from a single image, a sphinx, painted larger than the rest, dominating the room. Nero's palace was deliberately buried after his death, which may explain why this space remained hidden. It wasn't meant to be seen again. But someone did is still a mystery. Number 10. Wari culture child sacrifices. Archaeologists are used to uncovering human remains. It's part of the work. But some discoveries carry a weight that's hard to ignore. That was the case in northern Peru, where researchers uncovered the remains of 29 individuals at a site known as Huaca Santa Rosa de Pucal. What made it disturbing wasn't just the number, it was who they were. Every one of them appeared to be either a child or a teenager. Their positioning, along with surrounding artifacts, suggests they weren't buried naturally. They were sacrificed. The site dates back over 1,000 years and is linked to the Wari culture, a civilization we still don't fully understand. Until this discovery, there had only been speculation about whether they practiced human sacrifice. Now there's direct evidence. Nearby, archaeologists also found remains of animals, like guinea pigs and camelids, likely part of the same ritual. Weapons and ceramics scattered around the site hint at something large, deliberate, and deeply ceremonial. Whatever took place here wasn't random. It was planned, and it was something we still don't fully understand. Number 9. Klerksdorp Spheres. Some objects don't look unusual until you really stop and think about them. The Klerksdorp Spheres fall into that category. At first glance, they seem like nothing more than rounded stones. But once you look closer, the details start to feel off. These spheres are usually found in South African mines and are believed to be extremely old, formed naturally over time through geological processes. That explanation makes sense on paper. But a few things don't quite line up. Many of them are almost perfectly shaped, with consistent size and smooth surfaces. Some even have grooves running around their center, like they were deliberately designed that way. A few reports have also mentioned traces of metal within them, which shouldn't be there if they formed naturally. Geologists still maintain they're the result of natural formation. And that might be true. But the level of uniformity raises questions. Nature can create strange things, but this feels just precise enough to make people hesitate. So, who actually built them? Let us know. Number 8. Kilwa coin found in Australia. Sometimes, history doesn't shift because of something big, but even something small. In this case, a single coin found on a remote island off Australia's northern coast has raised serious questions about who arrived there first. The coin is heavily worn, but experts believe it originated from Kilwa, an ancient trading city along the East African coast. More importantly, it appears to have been minted before the 15th century. That alone is unusual. But what's stranger is where it ended up. Kilwa coins have only been found in a few places: Africa, parts of the Middle East, and now Australia. The leading theory suggests Portuguese explorers may have carried it there after looting Kilwa in 1505. They were already known to be active nearby, not long after. If that theory holds, it would mean Europeans reached parts of Australia long before the Dutch, who were previously considered the first. One coin isn't enough to rewrite history completely, but it's enough to make people question what we thought we knew. Number 7. Serrana de la Lindosa Rock Art. In Colombia, a stretch of rock walls runs for miles, covered in mysterious paintings that date back more than 12,000 years. At first, they appear to be simple depictions of animals and daily life, but the more closely they're studied, the stranger they seem. The artwork shows creatures that don't quite match anything living in the region today. Some resemble oversized mammals, sloths larger than cars, deer-like animals towering beyond normal scale. Whether these were real animals from the Ice Age or symbolic representations is still debated. The paintings weren't created all at once. They were added over generations, building layer upon layer across the stone. That's part of what makes dating them difficult. What gives them credibility is the testing done on materials found beneath the surface. Fragments of pigment trapped in sediment confirm their age. They offer a window into a world that looked very different. One recorded not through writing, but through images left behind on stone. Number 6. Assyrian rock reliefs. War has erased a lot of history in places like Iraq. Entire sites have been damaged or lost. But in some cases, that same destruction has revealed things no one knew were there. That's what happened near Fida, where a series of ancient carvings came to light after the region was reclaimed. Cut directly into the rock, these reliefs stretch across what was once part of a canal system. They show figures that appear to be gods, each one standing or riding on mythical creatures. The detail is striking, even after centuries of exposure. The carvings date back around 2,000 years, placing them in the time of the Assyrian Empire. Similar works exist, but nothing quite like this set has been found in recent history. What makes it more interesting is the scale. These aren't small pieces. They were meant to be seen. And with more of the area still buried, there's a strong chance that what's visible now is only part of something much larger. Number 5. Mourning ring. Grief has always found its way into physical form. Different cultures have handled loss in their own ways, and in parts of Britain, one of those ways was through mourning rings. In 2014, a metal detectorist in Wales uncovered one such ring buried in a field. Made from a mix of gold and silver, it carries a short but striking inscription: "Prepare to follow me." The message alone is enough to draw attention. But what stands out even more is what's missing. Traditionally, these rings included the name of the deceased somewhere on their surface. This one doesn't. That absence leaves questions. Was the message meant for a specific person? Or was it more general, a reminder rather than a dedication? The ring dates back to a time when wearing such items was common, especially during the 16th and 17th centuries. It was a visible way of carrying loss. Personal, direct, and in this case, still not fully explained. All right, now let's move to Number 4. Pommery Tomb. On the outskirts of Pommery stands a structure that hasn't given up its purpose, even after centuries. The Pommery Tomb, believed to be over 1,700 years old, is one of those places where the design feels intentional, but the meaning remains unclear. The tomb is built from limestone and brick, forming a circular chamber with a central column rising up toward a dome. Around the interior walls are niches, likely once used to hold urns or statues. There are also signs that a staircase once connected the lower levels to the top. Over time, much of the detail has been lost. Decorations, inscriptions, and anything that might have explained who built it or who was buried there is gone. What's left is a structure that blends influences. Elements of Roman design appear alongside Thracian features, creating something that doesn't fully belong to either. It stands complete, but silent. built carefully, used deliberately, and then left without explanation. Number 3. Saxon coin of King Ludica. The history of early England feels well documented, at least on the surface, but every so often a small discovery unsettles that confidence. Back in February 2016, a metal detectorist near Salisbury uncovered a Saxon coin that did exactly that. The coin dates back roughly 1,300 years and bears the image of King Ludica of Mercia. His reign was brief, just 1 year, between 826 and 827. That narrow window makes the coin incredibly useful for dating. But it also creates a problem. Historians believe that London had already fallen under West Saxon control after a battle in 825. This coin suggests otherwise. It identifies Ludica as the ruler of London, known then as Lundenwic at least a year later. That might not sound like much, but it changes the narrative. Either the conquest didn't happen when we thought, or its value was exaggerated. One small piece of metal, quietly forcing a second look at a story that once seemed settled. Number 2. Minoan tomb discovery. In 2018, a farmer on the Greek island of Crete experienced something unexpected while parking his car. The ground beneath him suddenly gave way, opening up a space that hadn't been seen for thousands of years. What he had uncovered was a Minoan tomb dating back around 3,400 years. The structure had remained sealed, hidden beneath layers of earth and stone. Inside, archaeologists found 2 coffins along with a collection of pottery and other items, all preserved in place. The tomb wasn't discovered through excavation or planning. It was revealed by chance, triggered by a weakened section of ground, likely affected by water over time. The design of the coffins and surrounding artifacts clearly places it within the Bronze Age. Finds like this don't come often, especially in such condition. It's one of those moments where something long buried surfaces unexpectedly. But still, the story of this tomb is not complete. Number 1. Saqqara Tomb of Wattier. Egypt rarely gives up anything in perfect condition. Most tombs have been opened, disturbed, or stripped long before modern archaeologists, historians, or scientists reach them. And that's what basically makes the discovery at Saqqara in 2018 unique. The tomb belongs to a priest named Wattier and dates back roughly 4,400 years. What sets it apart is how untouched it appears. There's no sign of looting, no evidence that anyone entered after it was sealed. Because of that, the interior looks almost preserved in time. The walls are covered in vivid carvings and painted scenes, many of them still holding their original color. It's rare to see something like that after thousands of years. Inscriptions suggest Wattier held an important position, serving under a pharaoh of the 5th dynasty. The tomb itself extends downward through multiple shafts, each one being explored carefully. What's still below hasn't been fully revealed, but even what's already visible is enough to show how little interference this place has seen. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like it and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.